And that is why I run for President of the United States. And that is why I come here to ask for your help.
55 years ago yesterday, Senator Robert Kennedy was in Pocatello to drum up support for his run for president, a campaign he announced just days before. This wasn't a stop by happenstance. Senator Kennedy didn't just blindly point to a map and say, let's go there. Senator Kennedy was a friend of Idaho Senator Frank Church, often visited the Gem State to recreate. So why not include Idaho in the campaign leading up to a presidential election? So today, we're dusting off the film from 1968 for a look back at what was one of Bobby Kennedy's first, but also one of his last appearances as a candidate for president.
I am announcing today my candidacy for the presidency of the United States.
With that, Senator Robert Francis Kennedy entered a crowded Democratic field for president.
I cannot stand aside from the contest that will decide our nation's future.
Tribute to all of you.
10 days later, on a Tuesday, the senator from New York was in Idaho, stumping in familiar stomping grounds.
And why I ask for your support from the state of Idaho, I have more of my family that have broken their legs in Idaho than any other family that's running for president.
Yes, Bobby's son Joseph did break his leg while skiing in Sun Valley. However, the Kennedys were frequent visitors to the Gem State, stopping by in all seasons over the years, without a stop at the infirmary.
To support our government.
This time, it was less vacation, more vocation.
They ask, whose side are you on? I think a time has come to answer that question. I think Frank Church has already answered that question, and many others.
In Idaho State University's Reed Gym, Kennedy campaigned on continuing the fight for civil rights, but ending our involvement in Vietnam, ending poverty, and ending the status quo.
I don't think that we have to accept the idea that we're going to have violence in our cities summer after summer. I think we could do much better there. And I also don't think that we have to accept the fact that there are these deep divisions within our country. This country, after all, is generous. This country, after all, is filled with compassion. I understand and recognize that what I am attempting to do is running against the establishment. It's going to be very difficult, whether it's here in the state of Idaho or whether it's in the state of California or any of these other states. And the only way that I believe that we can change, the only way that we can change the course of action, we certainly are not going to do that through the nominee of the Republican Party. And I don't believe that we're going to be able to do it through the present leadership in the Democratic Party. I come here to Pocatello to ask for your help to do just that. Thank you very much.
Senator Kennedy wasn't finished with his Treasure Valley tour.
Gun legislation, sir?
I'm in favor of guns not being in the hands of people who are insane, people who are demented, and people who have criminal records. 2
months later, after landing in La Grande, Oregon,
all right, let's have a nice cheer.
The Democratic candidate rolled down Ontario's 4th Street on May 23rd, 1968.
I'm very pleased to be in Ontario. Very pleased to see all of you.
And spoke to a crowd of thousands.
Farmers should have the right to organize and bargain for themselves. I think that the corporation farming presents a danger for the farmer here in Oregon and in this part of the state.
Senator Kennedy wouldn't win Oregon's primary 5 days later, but he would take California's on June 4th. Hours after, just after midnight on June 5th, 1968, Senator Kennedy was shot by Sirhan Sirhan in the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. Senator Kennedy would officially pass 26 hours after being shot, dying on June 6, 1968. Vice President Hubert Humphrey would earn the party's nomination that November, and he would then lose to Richard Nixon. RFK's shooting was one of the last in a string of violent deaths, assassinations of public figures and activists in the 1960s. President John Kennedy in 1963, Malcolm X in 65, Martin Luther King Jr. in 68, then Senator Kennedy, of course, and Fred Hampton in 1969.